There we go. Yeah, tricky time with the markets. Like you were saying, gold, huh? Struggled with. Where is it? Gold. Oh yeah. This 30-minute chart on gold. Of course, we had the war breakout over the weekend and opened with a gap up as expected. And I typed that up for you guys about 15 hours ago or so. Expect gold and all these various commodities and energy to basically go up. So they gapped up and then dropped and making a mess. But I think this is the longer the war goes on, the more safe havens like gold and silver and commodities basically will be in an uptrend, in a more sustainable uptrend overall. This is just, I'd call this a range. Once the breakout happens, which could be today, could be the next couple of weeks, I have no idea. You have something very interesting. Of course, that's all based on politics and wars. So keep an eye on it. Of course, what you do get with wars like this is excessive volatility in the market. So if you do trading the way I like to do trading, you're looking at RVR as the most important thing. In this kind of environment, it's a lot easier to get RVR as a scalper because you're getting much faster, sharper moves. So if you have a good setup, you're able to get into it, identify momentum, and go with it. Instead of averaging about two RVR, you'll get maybe 3, 5, something like that. The market's just allowing it. That's just as a consequence of the volatility. So, but again, volatility means it moves fast. You have to read momentum in all directions. So we're getting that excessive volatility now. So basically, a lot of fear out there. You see the S&P, I think, opened down as expected. What happened then? Yes, gap down. So far, it's only reached into middle of Friday's zone. You gotta watch this stuff. The Dow Jones, there we go. That's the one that's interesting. Same kind of activity, but much heavier gap. Again, this is nothing unusual. This is just patterns of history. Fear comes in, the big tech stocks get sold off. And what's really needed is energy, especially when you have a war in the Gulf, oil, all that stuff. Oil is still the primary form of energy in the world, irrelevant of all the buzz about solar and wind farms and I don't even know what else, so-called green energy. It doesn't sustain. So that's the fundamental stuff. But really, for just short-term trading and day trading, look at the candlesticks and just anticipate you will probably get bigger RVR. You're getting a lot more volatility, so anticipate a smaller size. Is what I would do in this environment. Go much smaller than usual. And if you happen to be on the right side of momentum, then your RVR is more than you're used to. So that's what I anticipate here. Again, long-term investors and all have totally different way of looking at all this, and I'm paying attention to that long-term stuff at the moment as well. But we're here for some trading. So this is interesting on the S&P gap down, found buyers so far going up so far. Everything is sensitive to the news, right? Suzanne, not so good. Yeah, it's tricky. It's more complicated trading now than it has been for a while. Firstly, in the last 1 month, we've had basically a sideways market, so that's been tough. And now suddenly this war thing, right? So we're in a different climate altogether, literally overnight. So you really gotta, if you haven't seen this before, then pay attention to it, look at it, and don't put on too much risk if you're not familiar with how this works. Oliver, Monday's a new month, yeah. That could be part of it too. I don't really have a statistic on that, but yeah. So very interesting times. I think it's very opportunistic. I mean, I got my eyes wide open looking at all this stuff for the investment portfolio and even for trading it at some levels. But again, if you haven't seen stuff like this before, downsize your risk and pay attention. Don't blow up because it could really go in different directions quickly. We go alert on Bitcoin futures just went off. What do we have? Yes, it hit previous day's high. That's right there. Bitcoin is not a safe haven investment, in my opinion. So please be careful if you're doing any of that stuff. Of course, if you talk to Sujit, he'll tell you, yeah, buy Bitcoin. If you talked to me 8 years ago, I would have said, yeah, same thing, buy Bitcoin. But it's a different world. Well, anyways, yeah, fun times. Money for retirement goes in, they have to put it somewhere. Yeah. So you gotta understand, guys, when you have these big turmoil environments, it's not just that money goes in and buys energy because now oil is in short supply, Straits of Hormuz is blocked by the Iranian Navy, all that stuff. The money has to come from somewhere to buy up oil and oil futures and oil tanker companies and all of those things. And where does that come from? The rotation. It goes out of what has just basically been a big bubble and easy to sell, easy to come up with excuses to get rid of it. Oh, it's overvalued. It's been in a big bull trend. This is the end of the market, all that stuff. That's happening in the NASDAQ right now, today, over the weekend and now Monday. And that's how these hedges rotate the money out and into oil, which we know the supply demand calculations make perfect sense. And then, of course, in turmoil, we have what's popular as a safe haven, which is gold primarily. Then you go into other precious metals and commodities. So that's the thinking. That's what the big players are really doing. And Bitcoin is just along for the ride, I'd say. And of course, you'll have movement in the currency markets. Yeah, this is expected to be down. The US dollar would be up at the moment. This is the Euro US futures. Should have bought some US dollars before the weekend, huh? Oh well. So anyways, that's the more fundamental thing. But again, what it comes down to for short-term trading and day trading is very simple. You know there's excess volatility. That's the only thing you really need to know. Everything else is down to watching your candlesticks, waiting for your setups, and calculating high RVR, putting on your trades, and just knowing that there's higher volatility, put on smaller risk, less risk. In the end, you'll survive this whole thing, which this whole thing might end in the next 10 hours. It might end in a few years. I have no idea. I can't tell you anything about that. It's important just to know the environment. This is oil. Obviously, that massive gap up, then got bought up here. Wish I was looking at it this whole time. I started looking at it over here. I was too busy dodging shrapnel in the backyard, so can't be watching all of it. What else was silver? Let's see what silver's up to. A big drop so far, but man, look at the bouncing off of the previous day's low area. That's about here. Yeah. So anyways, that's what I'm seeing here. Anyways, hope you guys are all doing okay, all safe. Well, most of you in North America, you're not too bothered about this. You got bigger problems in North America than we do here in the Middle East. You can't walk down the streets of San Francisco without running into trouble. It's safer here in Dubai than it is there still. Anyways, let me know what's on your minds. If you want to discuss anything, I'm here for a little while at least. So I put on this indicator on my charts, which is again nothing more than previous day's highs, previous week's highs and lows, as well as the previous month's highs and lows. It is this indicator here. I put this on a few hours ago. I like it. It's very simple because it allows for alerts. So I've got all the alerts set up here. Basically on all the futures tickers, previous days, weeks, and months, highs and lows. Anytime it pops up or hits at one of these levels, an alert goes off. Now I have not set these alerts off to go off in our Discord. I just think it's going to be too noisy. The ones that go off in our Discord are the ones on the Mag 7 that I place manually. And these ones, well, you know what they are. Previous days, highs, lows, weeks, highs, lows, all that stuff. So I don't think it's necessary to make a lot of noise about it. But this is the indicator I was looking for a while. Turns out it was right there all the time. It's just easy to pick up. So what was the alert of Bitcoin? Let's look at Bitcoin. It hit Previous day's high. So let's look and see. Previous day's high, yeah, we can see was resistance. Drop straight from there. If it turns that into support, we may have something. So let's get into the 100 tick footprint chart. And what is this? This is silver. Oh, this one. There we go. Okay, so it's right there. First day high, that red line. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Fairly straightforward. It broke through the red line right up there. Came back, and you see the anomaly right here. Excessive sellers, more than buyers, but price went up, so there's your anomaly. And then you're looking for confirmation for a continued move up, which I would look to the left and see anything. So my eyes immediately go to this level here, which has turned out to be resistance. And you look at breakout, look for it to bounce off, and maybe you have something. There's your bounce off. It happened a little while ago. Again, another anomaly. If it makes a new high off of there, I think my entry probably would have been right here. With a stop maybe below or below the major one right down there. If I was interested in this, but this is crypto stuff. It's messy. That's just the current high right now. That green line. So there you go, Bitcoin. I'm really not too interested in trading this. I don't have a good grip on this market, on crypto. Well, let's look at gold. I think that's the more interesting one. So gold is in an interesting area. Let's just put a level here. I think it's there's a bit going on. You can see right there, that was the bottom of the gap. And it's been bouncing off. This is looks like an area where the institutional players are playing, right? Big money. Right now, it's sitting just above it. Let's zoom out a little and take a look. So got close, bounced off a little while ago. Let's look at the bounce. Did we have an anomaly? Yes, we did. Look at that. All those red dots right there. Yeah, the price did not go down. Instead, it went up. Look for the high volume zone. This looks like a very high volume zone here. So we'll have to break out here, kind of where it is now, with heavy volume for me to be interested. And it did right there. See, that's the level I was talking about, high volume. And then when the breakout happened right there, heavy volume printed right there. So that would be the entry I'm interested in with a stop below. Makes it very wide. But bigger picture, it may not be wide because that would be perhaps a target. The entry was about here somewhere. Stop down here. You're still surviving this pullback and everything, and off you go. And the target would be probably in this zone. 5,400-ish. It's up here. So the RVR is not ideal with that kind of setup. But it's there. It's like 3-to-1 or so. Anyways, anyone get some interesting trades today? I'm hearing a lot of people struggling, losing money. Anyone get anything good?
Not yet.
Not yet. I like that attitude. Not yet. Good. It means you know the good one's coming. Yeah, the good one's gonna come. It always comes. Just gotta sit it out. This kind of environment, you just want to sit it out. Don't be too flustered about it. Let it come, let it pass, and we'll be back to normal fairly soon, generally speaking. Stubber, you got the Dow? All right, let's look at the Dow. Dow futures, yeah. So far after the open, it's been basically put bullish, but it slammed into Friday's chop zone, right? You can see it right there. So you want to watch that. But if you're able to catch the pre-market breakout, it makes sense. On a day like today, everything's got a catalyst, all these major indices and commodities. So pre-market breakout is pretty much a simple setup for scalpers. And off you go. Well, you also have this previous week's low and previous day's low right there. So breakout from there and go. So here's what's interesting. If I was available to look at the market at the time, I would have had these alerts on. This is previous day's low and previous week's low, same place. And the market opened here, and a couple of hours later, it slammed into that level. And there's an obvious short there, looking at this chart. If I caught it on the footprint chart here, giving me that good reversal pattern to go down, this area would have been an entry for a short. My primary target probably would have been here. Then leave some to run. Probably pick a round number, probably 48,200 would be the round number, simple one. Probably measure move actually, just measure that, end up in a similar place. So again, big advantages of trading when the market's closed. You get these huge moves that are slow. So you can take your time getting into them, take your time analyzing them, and then leave it. And this thing would have taken, I don't know how many hours, 10 hours to go. I've done the same kind of move in probably an hour now, or less than an hour. But you're dealing with the opening volatility. You got to put smaller size. It's choppy. It's got all that stuff, right? So it depends how you want to trade. Personally, I prefer this stuff, which normally for me is about 7 or 8 in the morning. So no big deal. Very easy time for me to get up and go, get trading. What do we have? Wall Street slips. There we go. We're getting news alerts. You can see even in New York, this was what, 8, 9 p.m. So not a bad time to get into that market, really. Market opens at 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening in the Eastern time zone. So it's available to pretty much everyone in this room, right? Shit, I might start coming on Sunday nights. What do you think? Huh? Something like
3 a.m. Dubai time.
Yeah, it'll be Monday morning in Dubai, but 9 p.m. or so in New York.
Yeah, I think that's perfect time.
I'm usually on and looking at Sunday evening, so
yeah, that's a good time. I mean, for me personally, it's a good time because that's when I tend to find setups that I liked and big positions that I like to get into. It's just tricky for most of you guys, but also a lot of you guys do like it. So we've been doing the candlelight sessions twice a week at that time. We'll continue that. Let's see what else we can do. Definitely, again, the open is not, I don't trade that way anymore. It's just not big enough. It's just not opportunistic enough for me for the big opportunities that I'm looking for the large moves, to really get into massive trends. So let's see. Today would have been perfect. The Dow Jones, look at that. I would have had that alert on. It probably went off at some point on my phone. I think a lot of them would have behaved similarly. Let's look at the Qs. The Qs did not quite have pulled up higher. That's the previous day's low. Yeah, right there, the blue line. Still could have had an interesting setup. I don't really see it as well as the Dow Jones, though. S&P would have been the same idea. Oh yeah, and the Russell, let's look at this. Yeah, the Russell, look at that. Previous day's low, it got very close to it. And near perfect rejection just below. That would have been good. There's your reversal setup. Like in the biggest ones, in my mind, the biggest one is oil. This is one I would be watching. These levels are after the fact. This is just telling us the day's low, the week's low, the month's low so far. So how could you identify this level here? Let's zoom back to the left. See if we get anything on the 30-minute. I gotta go way back. But let's see. Let's put the level down there and see what we have. When was the price last in this area? Oh, look at that. July 2025. Obvious massive selling zone. Look at that big head and shoulders pattern. So it's not a complicated area to put a level on. If you want to make it very simple, you have resistance turn support. I'd probably just place it right there. Resistance turn support. And you can see the sellers were in this area. And now I'll go into today's activity. That's where you're paying attention. Yeah. That's really where you're paying attention. I should have been around about 10 hours ago. Just wasn't. Kids are home from school, so I've been with them all day. The schools are closed here in Dubai because of airstrikes. So I've been homeschooling them, and you know what? We received all the information from the school. This is what you got to work on with the kids. And I looked at it, and I'm like, what a waste of time all this is. Why don't you just show them how to trade, right? Just so I was dealing with that this morning. Fucking school, man. I've had to unlearn everything I learned in school. I wonder why I send them to school.
And it's shocking in a different way, Avi. This is the money I'm paying for. You get really shocked. Schools are pretty expensive, guys, in here in this part of the world.
Yes, yes, it is expensive. I mean, at least the school I'm sending my kids are very expensive. Yes, it is shocking. I'm sitting here trading, and all I do is send the money to the school, and then then I have to re-educate them anyway. So yes, everybody, make sure you unlearn everything you learned in school, please. Otherwise, you're not going to make it as a trader. It's one thing I've discovered.
I agree with you.
There you go. Zach, you're assuming I learned things in school. Yeah, you're like me, buddy. That's the good thing. I barely passed in school too because I didn't pay attention. I just kind of cheated through exams and did all that. So it made it easier to unlearn because there wasn't much to unlearn. I love it. Zach. Yeah, fun. So yeah, I've been occupied recently, as in the last few days, and so let's see how all this stuff goes in the Middle East. Mostly, just taking care of the kids, basically, keeping up with the news, staying safe, keeping an eye on the airports, and if we need to evacuate and all that stuff. So as far as trading is concerned, I'm not going to be paying a lot of attention to the markets. Of course, I'll always be watching it a little bit. But while all this is ongoing, I'm around, but I'm not exactly paying a lot of attention to it all. There we go. Alerts on gold and oil. Oil broke previous week's high. Really? Yeah, that's an old alert. These alerts are. Hey, there's something wrong with these alerts. I gotta fix it. Some setting somewhere, I'm sure. Let's look at gold. Gold, there's no alert here. Something's up with these alerts. Gotta fix them. Also, that's MNG. That's natural gas. Let's look at that. Natural gas. No, it's not at any of these levels. Why would it give me an alert? Broke the previous day's high, it says. Oh, well, that makes sense. That's here, but no. Previous day's high is here. No, it does not make sense. I gotta fix all these alerts there. Some settings. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I'm paying attention to what's going on around me over here more than actually paying attention to the markets. And what's interesting is actually on Friday I decided I've had about enough of the simulator. I decided to fund my account, which the funding should show up today or tomorrow in the account. And then, as it turns out, as I decided that, then war breaks out. Like, oh shit, it's a funny thing. But yeah, I intend to go live trade at some point soon, as soon as I can actually focus on it. And let's see. Hopefully, no big deal. We can stay in one place. Don't have to move too much. And well, guys, don't believe everything you hear on the news, please. I mean, I was looking at news, and what's worse is the social media buzz about what's going on in Dubai. It's become a war zone. It's the apocalypse. There's buildings exploding everywhere. It's a bunch of rubbish, complete rubbish. Tarek, what do you think, man? How's it feeling for you?
Man, nothing's going on really, except like some noise from the airplanes and stuff like that. But I went to the grocery store earlier yesterday. Things are fine. Everyone like it's quieter than normal, I must say. Normally it's more busy than that, but
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's the same. You hear these explosions in the sky and the jets overhead, F-35s and F-16s from the airbase nearby, which is a good thing. You know, I like hearing them. I'm used to hearing jets all the time. I used to be a pilot. You know, I hear them. It's reassuring. Like, yeah, good, they're up there, I'm taking care of it. And yeah, you hear the explosions, but yeah, nothing on the streets. What's really great is there's no genuine panic on the streets where people are rushing and going to the grocery stores and the gas stations, and there's traffic. Everyone's trying to exit the city, and all that kind of panic. There's nothing going on. There's absolutely nothing. It's not a problem. Everything's quite normal. basically you just want to stay inside so debris doesn't fall on you. And all the damage we've had, the majority of it is actually debris from the drones and missiles being intercepted overhead and then debris falling onto the city. So that, it's quite random. Just want to be careful of those sorts of things by basically staying indoors. And if you hear an explosion, get under cover basically because they're overhead. Yeah, I got to say though, they're very loud. My goodness. We have houses here in Dubai are built of concrete primarily, not out of freaking firewood like in North America. And let's say, man, even these solid brick and concrete houses that we have here, the whole house shook many times. The whole thing, you hear this loud bang overhead, and the doors and the windows and the walls. And I'm like, oh, what just happened? Is incredibly loud. Those explosions are amazing. Whoa. So that's interesting. It took a bit of explaining to the kids that it's not too much to worry about and all that. But I'm glad we have concrete homes here. They're like bunkers. It's not freaking firewood like in North America. I mean, the wind used to blow in Colorado, and I feel like the house is going to fall over. It's like it's a different kind of construction. Yeah, not a lot of trouble on the streets. That's good. That's a good thing. But again, these things escalate quickly, so we just got to keep an eye on it. That's why I'm focused on all that. Not really trying to trade too much. Even though I decided to go live right before the war started. Stupid. Yeah, fun. Well, yeah, I was on the Palm Jumeirah when that bomb went off, when the Fairmont got hit, the hotel, and there was all over the news because it's a pretty high-end hotel and tourist attraction, all that stuff. And I was just down the street from it, driving towards it. I was going to drive past it to go home, and I heard the explosion. And it didn't sound like anything different from what we've been hearing already with the overhead explosions. And so I didn't think much of it. Like, there's another one up there. And then pretty soon, maybe 10 seconds later, I saw smoke going off from the building ahead of me. And I realized, oh, crap, that was the explosion. It was right there. We were maybe, a minute away from it, or whatever it was. And it was funny. We were so close to it, but what's really great is the fire trucks and the police and everyone they got there before I did. It just whizzed right past me when I was driving. It was amazing how quick they respond. And they're really, really good here. They're so efficient. You got to be grateful about these sorts of things. Even when I had my motorcycle accident about 6 months ago, it was so amazing how quickly the ambulance arrived. It's just unbelievable how efficient they are around here. So these are good things. Yeah. So anyways, like I said, I'm looking at these sorts of things more than I'm looking at the markets at the moment. But we still have airspace closed. Airports are pretty much closed. There's still plenty of tourists and people just going to the beach and sitting there and having a good time, pretending like nothing's happening. I don't blame them. I think that's all right. Oh, I hear another jet now. I can hear it through the window. Well, I've been looking at one of these apps that I use to track everything, and the big aircraft carrier is just offshore from Dubai. I think it's the Abraham Lincoln. It's a huge ship, basically, an Air Force just sitting right offshore. It's right off the palm. If I had a yacht, I could probably just go up to them and say hello. So it's right offshore. It's very close.
Is that what they're trying to hit? Or are they trying to hit the port, I heard?
Yeah, no, they're hitting the fixed U.S. military assets here. And there's an airbase just probably 45 minutes from where I live, just outside Dubai, basically. It's actually right by another airfield where I usually go to fly airplanes. And yeah, so they're mostly trying to hit that one. In the port as well, because the Navy comes and docks into that port. Now, that's a port usually for commercial businesses and all, but it's a huge port, and the Navy comes. Even in 91, when we had the Gulf War, the Navy ships were here. So they're trying to hit those ships when they dock there, as well as the airbase here. And turns out Dubai is directly in the middle from Iran to that. Well, that airbase is just outside Dubai. So, and the jets and the anti-aircraft artillery and all that stuff come above Dubai, basically, to get them, trying to intercept them. They're not the guy who was before he died, the Supreme Leader or whatever his name was. He was, I don't believe, was trying to target civilians. He was trying to target the military stuff, but then he got killed. And now whoever's in charge, the latest talk is that these guys who are trying to hit civilian targets, they're more extremists. They're looking for the news buzz, trying to bring Trump to negotiate on their terms, basically terrorism tactics, So we had, looks like they targeted a few different things here, including the airport, the Burj Al Arab, a couple of landmarks. And so that's what I'm hearing. But that's just because these guys are the new kids trying to play.
I mean, it would be pretty risky because that would involve all the Gulf states into the war. I don't think they want that.
Yeah, well, you got to realize these guys got nothing to lose, right? So they'll do anything. I think they're in a position where they've got nothing to lose. These last few Iranians who support the previous king or dictator, whatever he was. So, yeah, they're just going to take over the drones and cruise missiles or whatever. It's probably one of the generals, I guess. And again, Dubai is not a primary target for them because there's not a lot of American assets here compared to Qatar, Bahrain, and Saudi. That's where the majority of it all is. So they're getting hit real hard. In Kuwait, of course, Iraq as well. They're having a lot of the fighting over there. Dubai is very small. It's not a major target. But what's interesting is the military here in Dubai is incredibly efficient and really powerful. You don't mess with them, man. These guys are something else. So let's see, they're very much likely to get involved. The UAE military send their jets over Iran and stuff. But anyways, the entire U.S. Navy's right here, man. If you look at the map, I'm looking at all the ships and stuff, where they're based and where the explosions are going off. It's amazing how many aircraft carriers are here and the entire battle groups and the Marines and smaller ships, everything. It's all here. And it's just offshore. Pretty impressive. So like I was saying, if I could, you know what, tomorrow I could rent a yacht and just go for a little ride. See what they're doing. Have a little Iranian gunboat pop up. Something like that. They already survived one bomb attack, right? Over the weekend at the Fairmont. Might as well.
Normally, when we go fishing, before some Iranian guys come with the small boats, they're trying to sell us gas because it's cheaper in Iran. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I haven't seen that. That's amazing. You've had that before?
Yeah. So I kept wondering yesterday what these guys are doing now because I was supposed to go fishing on Saturday morning. Or Saturday afternoon, and all these bombings and stuff like that came up. Like, would these guys be still like petrol?
There's like your petrol. That's so funny. I haven't heard of that one. Wow. Well, yeah, get gas for half the price. Fill up all your jerry cans and everything, man. Do it. When all this broke out, I put the roof back on my Jeep and filled up all the jerry cans full of gas. Just ready to go. It's here in case I need to get going. It's all here. Natural gas. Yeah, look at that. Price goes up. Big mess. Yeah. Anyways, as far as the markets are concerned, guys, again, if you haven't seen this before, take it easy. Go slow with your sizing. The setups will be there as always, but they're coming with excessive volatility. So be sure to lower your risk, smaller position sizing, and start observing how this works. And this whole thing could be drawn out or it could end quickly. I have no idea. But wars are always going to happen. We know that. That's just human history, human nature. So this is a good opportunity to learn about how the markets tend to react in different kinds of wars. This is obviously one of those energy wars, oil wars, basically. So Figure that out. Last time we had enormous excessive volatility was COVID, basically. Since COVID, did we have some? It's been 5 years now. Sure, we must have had a few days of excessive volatility. COVID, I remember the market really for a couple of months was pretty wild in 2020, in the second quarter of 2020. Pay attention. Yeah. And it's a very convenient war, I gotta say. This one, all the Epstein stuff going around, all those guys on the list are basically Trump and his buddies. It's not too difficult. Start a war, get the distraction going, so stop talking about this Epstein stuff and they don't get exposed. It's so well primed, isn't it? Just these are the games these guys play. At least that's my belief. So, just gotta be aware of these things. You can't fight these things. You just gotta understand that the world works this way. In that sense, you stop being pissed off about every little thing, and stop being such a greenie, basically, and get on with life. This is the third war I've been in. Been a refugee twice before. Well, close enough to a refugee. Let's see what happens this time, huh? All right, we'll be looking at natural gas. I can fix these alerts, but I want to sit and do that later. So this is the MES. Let's look at this chart. Seems to be in a general uptrend, but I mean it's really messy. And just because there's a thesis that it's an energy war, oil should go up, everything else, cash should rotate out of that. So it doesn't mean you go short the tech sector. Okay, just don't blindly short it. Let the candlesticks tell you. That's very important. Don't go in with a short or long bias, basically. Look at this NASDAQ. And the drop. Reclaim that little bit. Now we're going into Friday's chop zone. Friday was a great big mess, wasn't it? Looks like we're getting up to high of day right now. There it is. That's high of day, that green bit. It's the 100 tick footprint chart. Firm sellers were there. Let's see if they're still there. This could be interesting to watch. Daily high, weekly high, what else do we have? Monthly high. I mean, this is all today's activity. That's interesting already. You can see that anomaly. Lots of buyers, where the price went down, rubs to the left at the top of it. Made a lower high over there. Next. Sellers look like they may be in the game here. It's choppy overall, but you're getting some clues right here. Very, very choppy though. Anyways, guys, tell me what you want to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just talk about whatever I'm looking at or thinking about, which may not be useful for you. So, I mean, what's on your minds? Still on for a little while before I got to go see the kids again. Get them sorted. Full-time homeschooling, which is basically full-time trading camp. Learn to trade. Here we go right now. So broke the new high, just about hit high of day. Pull back. See the excessive buying imbalance there. Got the anomaly down there again. And so for the long, it looks interesting. The high of day is imminent, I'd say. The setup is good at all these higher lows with these imbalance anomalies. There we go. Just broke a new high of day just a moment ago. There's your imbalance right now. That would potentially be your entry right about now if you like scalping it. There you go. Pop straight up. Put the stop right below it. If you like trading these sorts of things. And there you go. Quickly around. We're done. There you go. There's your scalping setup. Straight down. Those sellers were not messing around there. Sellers, where were they? They were here 30 minutes ago, approximately. Whew, there they go. Straight down. Fun, huh? I know why I don't scalp these tiny levels like high of day and stuff. To me, there's no trade at high of day. It's trades at these bigger levels. Here, like previous day's levels. Previous day's high, and if everyone wants to get there and start breaking out, that's what's interesting. And down here, previous day's low, that one broke out. Previous week's low, that makes sense. There you go. Sellers were sitting there and did not mess around. Let's look and see if we can identify something about volume. Yeah, lots of buying obviously here, and didn't continue up. I don't see any like unusually high volume up here. The higher volume is lower, of course. So I don't notice anything up here really. So there you go. If you guys like scalping, that's what it looks like. You get in. If it doesn't work, you're out quickly. If it does work, you maybe get 2 hours out of it. And then you wonder what you're doing with your life. Might as well remove that indicator, high of day. So again, 30-minute chart here on MNQ. Look to the left, chop zone, right? All of Friday, then the majority of Thursday. Now we're here on Monday. It got there and it's messing around with you. So be careful with this stuff. Let's see what oil continued to do. Where's the big buying point on oil? It's obviously down here. But now it's not the time, obviously. It doesn't want to go anywhere. So I guess we had Sujit back today for the pre-market prep. Was that fun? I couldn't be here for that, but we'll have a good time with it. Yeah. I'll tell you all the secret. The more you harass him, the more likely he's going to come on and do it. So bug him, send him a message. Are you coming on today? Please come on today. Will you come on today? He'll come and do it. No, but it's great. I think he brings a lot to what we're doing here. Firstly, with identifying levels and then also explaining them why that level makes sense. And then I think more importantly, he brings a real calm to the environment because he's not jumping around the screens and here's your ORB, let's go, let's jump, it's doing some stuff, it's VWAP, it's long, it's short, he doesn't do any of that. He's pretty calm about things. And I think that's a really good way to go about it. And you can see in his results, it shows. You got to watch the market from a detached point of view or from a detached personality, put it that way. And he really brings that and he demonstrates it at the open and before the open. And I think that helps to settle everyone in here. So it's good when he comes in and he can do that. Lately he's been busy with his work, but that's the real value he brings. So be sure to join when he comes online. I think it's very, very valuable. A lot of us can learn a lot from that. Zach wants to know, do I have a crisis time long-term investment strategy? Crisis time long-term. How do I answer that one? Yeah. So crisis, when there's a crisis, for me, the first order of business is survival. Any kind of crisis, whether it's there's a war or there's an accident and an injury, or an ex-girlfriend starts calling me again incessantly. Either way, all of that is a crisis. First thing is to survive. Don't do something stupid that'll get you hurt, right? Just survive. As far as investment, I'm not even thinking about it when it comes to crises like this. The way I do investments is a whole different theory. And as it turns out, with this kind of crisis that we have with wars, we have this one here today in the Middle East. We had 2022 Ukraine, which is still ongoing. We had COVID in 2020. For that, I don't even know. We've had all kinds of things. Turns out all of these incidences are nothing more than really good catalysts for my portfolio. to make a leap upwards. Because it's all based on contrarian thinking and asymmetric investments. In all of that is, I started getting into that in 2016, 17. And back then, I couldn't tell you COVID's going to happen, or Ukraine's going to get invaded, or we're going to have a big war here in 2026. I couldn't tell you any of that. But all of that just helps this portfolio along. It's funny how it works. In a weird way, the investment thesis is based on demand and supply. Very simple. You got to buy where there's no supply, and there's only monopolies left in that industry, and the world needs that stuff, even if they don't realize it right now. But the time will come. So my portfolio is full of oil tankers and offshore drillers and natural gas shippers and coal miners, and what else? Argentina as a whole, the Argentinian banking sector, the whole energy sector, really. And had South Africa in there for a while, moved out of that one. Brazil, all that stuff. All this just helps it along. So I'm thinking much, much bigger than any crisis. This crisis is here, and it'll go. It may be here for a while, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, but it'll go. You gotta understand, I grew up in the Middle East, man. I've seen wars before. It's not the end of the world. It sucks. But most people just get overexcited, and then start doing all kinds of stupid things. The last thing I think you should do is start investing in various things based on another drone strike or whatever Trump said about a war or something. Don't do that. Don't go buy Lockheed Martin today. Don't do that. It's gonna blow up in your face, I promise you. Please don't. Right, gotta realize there's a lot of hype out there. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of influencers looking for likes, and they're getting videos from some other war, some dramatic missile footage, putting it on there today and say, "Oh, look at Dubai today. It's getting bombed." And that thing goes viral. It's what's happening all over the internet for the last 3 days. It's not the truth. So please don't get suckered into that. It's actually much easier to watch the bullshit media, which is what CNN and all the traditional news outlets, even though they're full of crap. It's actually easier to not get overexcited with that than it is with social media, because that's even worse than bullshit media. So that's the way I'm seeing these things. Don't bother investing. In a crisis, just survive, make sure your family's protected, your wealth is protected, your assets are protected. Just do that. That's all you really need to do. And for me, I can get up and go after. If there's an absolute emergency, I'll get the truck and we'll go off to the desert, no big deal. And then find our way to an airport, get to Sri Lanka somehow. It's not impossible. I'm focused on being prepared for those sorts of things rather than trying to figure out what to do with the next $1 million in the portfolio. I'm not going to do that today. Not while this is ongoing. You got to think bigger, much bigger, much, much bigger. Hope that helps. So we got this big spike in oil overnight, but it's sitting here now. Wait for the setup, wait for the breakout of this high, perhaps. And then it's a trade, it's not an investment. And if that happens today, if that happens in the next few days, okay. We have this bottom here, which looks like a key level, and we zoomed back earlier and found this key level. So if it comes back there, look at what happens. There could be some massive institutional buying down here, like there was a few hours ago. So let's see. Again, this is also even in trading. This is the way I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking much bigger. I'm trying to identify the big players, offer the big levels, and ideally put on trades at something like 3, 4 a.m. Eastern time, and then give it the 20 hours it needs to run. So I'm not likely to. I definitely don't put on trades at the open in Eastern time, and then as we get closer to the close, after let's say 2 p.m., I'm not too bothered about putting on trades at that point, because most of my trades need these hours to run. Oh, we got target. Gold is going down. Gold, yeah, it's coming down again to this key area that we got in mind. Huh? It's gonna be fun. So we know down here, it's a 30-minute chart on gold. There's been massive buying, but this time when it's come down, you can see it's coming. It's kind of sitting there. Previously, it just shot up from there. You see it shot up, almost V reversals. This time now, it's doing a bit of consolidation down there, which means the buying that was there earlier is not as aggressive as it was previously. So it could be interesting for perhaps a down move, for which I would be super careful. You have these levels down here, but let's see what it wants to do. Let's see, this is not the area that we're looking at. Came down. What do we have? It looks like a little bit of buying so far. All right, oh, this is a good point. See this? This thing came down quite aggressively, right? Just because now if you identify an imbalance, an anomaly, and it goes up, doesn't mean you get involved. It takes a lot to create a reversal, typically a few attempts. That's why you call it a double bottom. It has to come back again and go. These V reversals are not trustworthy. They do happen, but it's definitely too risky. So wait for it if you're thinking long. And if you jumped in a minute ago up here, perhaps you've seen it go up, you're in trouble. I'd say you make money a couple times doing that, but mostly you're going to blow up an account. Please be careful. Zooming back a little bit, we can see more recently, every time it's come down, been bought. It's actually been bought quite aggressively, but it keeps coming back down. This time we've had, lower highs as it comes down. It's a very tricky zone. I'd be super careful. Even if you are going long, I'd say this is your target zone, because you don't know if it's going to go past it, right? You want to be super careful. All right, now we're beginning to see a double bottom on this 100 tick chart, which is a very, very tight one. The anomaly down here, I see it. There you go. There's your red dot. There's the push up. Where's the volume zone? Right there. So the entry is pretty much where it is right now. This will be the entry, stop below the anomaly. But then you do this, and let's look at the RVR. It's right there. Enter here, stop below, maybe 4 to 1, 5 to 1, I don't know, something. It's okay. Look at these alerts, just go off whenever they want, huh? Stop it. I really gotta fix that. And there you go, didn't want to go. So leave this alone, you'll be super careful. But really what I'm seeing, bigger picture again, 30-minute picture, 30-minute chart, consolidation, which leads to a breakout. Oh, it looks like there it goes now. Keep an eye on that. Now, where is it? It's approaching previous day's high. Let's look at that on a 30. Previous day's high right there. Now, that makes more sense. Actually, that's an area I'd be more interested for a long than any other place. There and even lower here. So kind of where it is now, but let's see. Keep an eye on it. So overall, you can see here's your previous day's high. It went up, and here's coming back down. So we test this zone here, right? Let's see what we have. For now, obviously, you're not thinking long because look at this thing. It's just going straight down. Reverse ABCD pattern in the works. There it is. Broke through previous day's high. It's going lower and lower and lower. If you get that retest going up to previous day's high and reject, there it is right now. That could be a retest going down, but that's also not. Oof, that would terrify me at this point to go short into this stuff. Just wait for it. Look how fast this is.
I'm short on that, Avi, from 53.38. I'm looking for the 52.50.
Nice. Well, you got in early. Good for you, man. Yeah, you observed the short up there. Where are you going? 52.20?
52.50.
52.50. Okay, not too
This
far
is
off.
the center point. Normally, this levels they gravitate. The PO previous session point of what do you call it?
Point of control, volume.
Control, yeah.
Cool, man. There you go. So that's your previous session's point of control, 52.50. Makes sense. Makes good sense. Nice catch. You're getting it up there.
Yeah, it's printing really well and fast, so it's good.
Nice. A good one. And so again, guys, this one here, you know that it's in play because of all the news and everything that's going on in the world. It's got excessive volume, all this stuff. And when you have something like this, the simple trade book is mark your pre-market levels, and at the New York Open, wait for it to break a pre-market level and see if it wants to do it. In this case, you have the pre-market low right there. And there's your entry. Looks like target got involved in this area. And you're going into it. Very good. So if you're into that style of trading, I think this is what makes sense. Very simple. I don't use that stuff anymore. But it's a simple way to go with things that have a catalyst, things that are on the move overnight. Ooh, key area now. 52.50. So just above where target. So the target, I see a zone. I'm gonna put it down here. Just about here. And just about there. Kind of where the price is now here. See that big turnaround right there. This area could, I mean, it's interesting. You can see it. Breakout. Let's see what it does now. It's an interesting place. And there's further volume below. So far, what do we have? Big downtrend. And it's taking a breather. We have lots of imbalance. We have the anomalies, as in more sellers than buyers, but the price has gone up so far, so it's interesting. You can see how fast this is, right? This 100 tick chart. Again, I like it when the market's closed, 4 or 5 a.m. or so. It looks like a screenshot. It doesn't look like this at all. It's so easy to look at. You trade a screenshot. Anyways, what do we have? We have volume here. We have, it looks like it wants to go. It stays high. Obviously, that's a key level. I would not go long below that. If it gets up there, consolidate, breakout, retest, maybe there's a chance up there. But we can see down here, those big buyers are truly holding here. The confirmation for me would be up there. It has to be aggressively going up. Otherwise, I'm not touching it. Ideally, it even dips down, picks up all the volume chart we're just talking about, and then go. Could be that. Zoom out a bit on this 30-minute chart. What do we have? Yeah, it's interesting. So be super careful with reversals, guys. They're not simple trades. That's what I like because of the RVR that's available. But you gotta be careful. You just can't jump into them. You see the resistance right here in this level now. Previously it was resistance, and again, and even right now. Which happens to be just below previous day's high. And what was previous day's high? It was the high. That's as far as I wanted to go. So it could be a selling point. Place where you should go down from, but let's see what it does. You have a consolidation, which you just had, breakout, retest, all that fun stuff. Target wise, start up in this area. RVR is not outstanding. 30-minute chart there. Up in this area and then further up. This tick chart is so fast, man. It's unbelievable. Let's just go with the bigger one, just so it's easier to read. 1,000 tick chart. There's no need to be over hyper about this. There we go. Much easier. Okay, back at the level that we like at it. Like it at. There you go. See the anomalies at the big level we had in mind. This chart. It's like switching from a 1 minute to a 5-minute chart, right? So much easier. All right. So there we go. Looks like it wants to go from here. Let it retest. Have a good anomaly. And we have a chance. I have this right here, these sellers. This was a key point. You can see the wick here. My volume, my volume, my volume. So the stop, if I'm getting into a trade, the stop is down below here. And also we have the anomaly. See the red dots? And the price went up. So I want to stay above that. If it drops below that, I should stop out if I'm getting into this. Let's set up a trade. Let's see if we want to do this. Stop loss and target way above somewhere. If I'm taking an entry, the stop should be there. Not 80 contracts. That would be too much risk. Let's go with $1,000 risk on this. How would that look? Still too much. Huh? 10 contracts. Maybe 7, I think, would be approximately right. Because I think the entry would be in this zone approximately. Let's see. Just wait and see. Target would be somewhere way overhead. Up here someplace. Yeah. In this zone. Bring it to here. Okay, there we go. So if the entry is there, the stop's there, the target's there. It's not good RVR. It's really not. All right, now we got a drop. Let's see if we get a bounce. So we're looking for the same thing as we saw here. these red dots and then push up. I want it to break through this volume area on the way up. You can see that now. Let's zoom in a bit. Red dots there, pushing up so far. And it's on market order for 7 contracts. Yep. So far, since it hit that imbalance, it's been pushing up primarily, but let's see. And actually, if I'm getting in, I think I'd want it below the imbalance even here. So that messes up the RVR even more. You can see it's not a great situation. If you enter right now, you get 5 to 1 maybe. Anything beyond this is just no fun. There you go. Once it gets up to high volume. See, it's the RVR that's keeping me away from this. It really is no fun. By the time I get the confirmation I'm looking for, it'll be up here most likely. But the stop down there, the entry up here, and the target there, this makes no sense. So forget it. Even in the sim, it's not worth doing it. Just wait for the RVR situation. We'll get something bigger.
The NQ also broke out.
NQ, all right, let's look at that. MNQ. Q broke out. I gotta fix these alerts. This was the previous day's high. No, this was the high, the overnight activity. First day's high is up there. So it looks like it's done that high of day break we were looking at earlier. But man, what is high of day? Is that one? Is it that one? Is that one? Yeah, on the way up. If you guys like this, basically high of day break. Off it goes. Very good for scalping. I think it's a good way to go to scalp and not have to trade the open. Where you scalp the open, you know how difficult that is, how complicated that is, how unnecessarily complicated that is. If you insist on scalping and just wait for high of day breaks, it's still scalping. You still end up with similar results, I think, but at least it's slower. It's a lot slower. That should help most people. So, Tarek, man, you're all over this futures market, huh? Short gold, long NQ, is that right? Doing everything?
Yeah. I love the NQ, but I bailed on it really fast because the gold was starting to like pull back, and you were planning a long. So I closed the NQ, and I said I need to focus on babysit this one a little bit.
Yeah. Focus. That's 80-20, man. Focus on what is most important. Everything else is just noise.
And especially for the NQ, I was looking for a push towards the 25,000. It already did it. So
yeah, it's pushed up there. This is a choppy zone, man. It's been messing up here. Look at this. It's been doing Wixen up here. Been choppy, messing up a lot of people for a while, for the last hour and a half. Be careful. Again, I like the previous day's high, this red line. Once it gets there, if it gets there, the breakout from there makes sense because that's where it's been clean, right? Then you have something worthwhile, something worth working with. I gotta start paying attention to this stuff at about 7 a.m. my time. I see a whole lot of setups, especially the Dow Jones is something I think I would have taken today. Anyways, the account will be live momentarily, anytime today, I think. And yeah, it'd be a good place to get going. Actually, you know what? Let me check. Where's the Ninja Trader, right? Ninja. There it is. And oh, there we go. Yay. The funds have arrived. We now have a new account to blow up. Fantastic. Let's do this. I'm officially going live from now on. Live trading. It's been a while. It's been like 6 months. I took a few live trades last month in December, but all small stuff. But even here, I'm thinking go small to start with, build it up again, get back into the hang of it, hang of live trading, and with this whole new style of trading that I'm looking at with futures and 23-hour markets and all that. So I'm thinking $1,000 risk per trade and just build it up from there again. You guys have seen me do this over the years. And then we'll see. It'd be fun. I figured I had enough sim trading, you know. It's not much more progress I can make in the sim. That's the truth about it. Pretty much figured out what I wanted to figure out. So here we are. Now the key is to get these alerts to work properly so I can look at it at the right time and place. Otherwise, there's no point. All right, here we have MES. Same thing. We have Russell. What's it doing here? Getting up into a chop zone. Well, previous week's activity. It's a wild ride, huh? This would have been the key point for me, I believe. I think we talked about this a little while ago. Previous day's low. So it reclaimed it about 30 minutes after the open. And going up through it would be a bit tricky with the chop at the left. Let's look at it. Let's see what happened over here about 30 minutes after the open at the blue line. Right there. Oh, that looks good. So the blue line is right about here in this zone. You can see what happened. It opened, very positive, broke out of pre-market resistance. And back, here's your bounce off. Here's another bounce off. Pre-market resistance has been on its way. So there's opportunities to get into a big old ABCD pattern here. That's a good one. It has that W pattern, or basically a double bottom kind of pattern. And yeah, there's ways to identify this. And this is the 1,000 tick chart, so I'm looking at it in a much slower way than you saw on the 100 tick chart. If you're going to trade the New York session, I don't know how to trade the 100 tick chart. It's unnecessarily noisy. With the breakout over there. It's a simple ABCD pattern, really. You don't need much for volume and all those things. Just make a trading ABCD at a key level. Key level, which over here. Previous day is low. Goes and reclaims, and the low, you know it's a low because there were buyers there before. That was support. Turned itself into support again. There you go. See, support. Came back to it, turned itself into support again. So, yeah. Fun. Even at a retest here. Sort of been a fun ride. If I was in this, I'd probably still be in it. If I managed an entry somewhere here, which stays high makes perfect sense for a partial or for the target. Look at it, this blue line and target. Oh yeah, definitely takes some off. Actually, by now I would have taken it off by now. You can see this area right here, where it was support, and then it broke through. You actually have resistance a little lower. So actually, no, I think I would have taken it off by now. This would have been my target zone. Can't really hold all the way for previous days high. Take another setup later. So this is the profit zone really, which makes it still kind of tight, right? RVR wise, a little difficult. Gold retesting the breakout. Target's all over gold. All right, let's see. Look at this. Gold. Oh, there we go. It's doing that long. I was talking to you guys about. Fine. So that key level, bounce off, and the reclaim of this line here, which is previous day's high, previous week's high. It's all there. So far, what do we have? It's punched up above it. You have the consolidation here. So the reversal here, the ABCD continuation of the reversal. There you go. Makes sense. So how would you trade this? You want to wait for it to come back to the level and bounce off? That's one way. We can look at the price action, identify a breakout and a retest. If you have this consolidation, identify the top of that as resistance, breakout, retest. Doesn't seem like it's doing that now. So multiple ways to go. But again, the key is this area, this level right here. If you get the bounce off here, I think the trade is on.
I'm looking at it, Avi, here to add to my short position, but I'm waiting for a change in structure and the market structure on the lower time frames. Like the lower time frames are still making higher highs and the higher lows. I'm
Yep.
still waiting for the picture to flip, and from that I might think on adding. And the level, of course, you were talking about if it goes under that.
Level there, yeah. That makes sense. That's good. Have the patience. Wait for that structure because it isn't basically putting an uptrend in right now, right? And you want to be careful with that. You don't want to add to your short when it's going up. This doesn't make sense. So be patient. There's confirmations on either side, right? Whether long or short, whatever it is, wait for confirmations. And have your confirmation well defined. And you'll be okay. So what do we have here? We have let's see what it does here. Let's see if you want to get into something here. So you can see the sellers here. So they're not going down. Also, they're not going up. And if it starts going up with an anomaly here, where is the high volume area? I'm not able to identify it. I'm just not able to pick it up right now. Zoom in a bit and really have a look. Here. I'm looking at these white highlights here. So I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of anything. This area kind of makes sense. So if you get the anomaly down here, then it gets up here with high volume. That's when you may want to look at it. But no, I'm not convinced. Let it be. Like your short's gonna work, okay? I'm not gonna buy up this market and go long. Is that okay with you?
Don't squeeze me, huh? Don't squeeze me, please.
If we were doing gold options 0 DTE or something like that, I'd be all into this. Pile into it. 1,000 contracts, 10,000 contracts, whatever. Squeeze everyone. Anyways, there's that. Cool. All right, just about getting to 8:30 here. I better go pay attention to the war. Start a fire and look up at the sky. Really. And I gotta pay attention to the kids. It's their home. No schools or anything. Anyways, good. Thanks for coming on, guys. Good catching up with y'all. I'll try and come on more often. Try and do this stuff. So the plan is to go live now, from now on. And start small risk. I just haven't been live for a long time. So the usual procedure. Thanks for hanging out. And I will be talking to y'all soon again. Take it easy.
See you, Avi.
Thanks,
See ya.
Abby. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Abby.
Abby.
Bye-bye. Take care.
See you guys.